You have already wondered why, after 60, that arrangement that used to have, to face the day it seems to have disappeared? Why even after a night's sleep, reasonable, do you wake up without energy to perform your daily activities? If this sensation of persistent tiredness, this constant lack of energy has been its unwanted companion, know that you are not alone. About 70% of people over 60 report chronic fatigue and low energy as one of main limiting factors in their quality of life. The good news? The solution to recover your vitality and disposition may be very closer than you imagine, directly on your plate. Recent research reveals surprising connections between certain foods and the levels of energy, especially in the most mature body. In this article, we will explore 5 specific foods with scientifically proven properties to combat the lack of energy in people over 60. These are not fashion or miraculous promises, but from food options with compounds, bioactives that act directly on the biological mechanisms of energy production. Cell phone: why does energy decrease after 60 years? Before we delve into revitalizing foods, it is essential to understand why energy levels naturally decline with advancing age. After 60, several factors contribute to this decrease in vitality. Mitochondrial decline: mitochondria, energy plants of cells, become less efficient and less numerous. Reduction of muscle mass: sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, decreases the body's energy reserve. Hormonal changes: decreased hormones such as testosterone, DHEA and thyroid hormones that regulate metabolism. Low-degree chronic inflammation: the so-called inflammaging consumes resources, energy of the organism. Committed nutritional absorption: reduction in the production of digestive enzymes and changes in the intestinal microbiota. Dr. Roberto Campos, geriatrician and specialist in functional medicine, explains, fatigue in the elderly rarely has a single cause. It is usually multifactorial, but the bioenergetic cellular component is almost always present. The mitochondria: our cellular batteries lose about 8 to 10% of their efficiency every decade, after 30 years, resulting in a significantly lower production of ATP, cell energy molecule, in old age. Donna Helena, 76, shares her experience: I was always very active, but, after 70, I started to feel constantly without energy. The simple act of climbing stairs or playing with my grandchildren for 15 minutes made me exhausted. I started to think this was normal for my age until my doctor analyzes my diet and suggests specific changes. The difference in a few weeks: it was like recovering 10 years of my life. Let's now know the 5 foods that can transform your vital energy. Food number 1, beetroot, the circulatory turbinator. Beetroot heads our list for a convincing reason: it is possibly the more effective food for improving cellular oxygenation and energy production in people over 60. Rich in natural nitrates, betaine, antioxidants and essential minerals, beet acts as a true premium fuel for the aged body. How beetroot helps to increase energy. Conversion of nitric oxide nitrates: the nitrates present in beetroot are transformed by the organism into nitric oxide, a potent vasodilator that improves blood flow and increases oxygen delivery and nutrients to all cells, including muscles and brain. Mitochondrial optimization: studies show that beet compounds improve the efficiency of mitochondria, allowing higher production of ATP, the energy molecule, with less oxygen consumption, particularly important in the elderly organism. Increased physical resistance: research shows that regular consumption of beet can reduce oxygen consumption by up to 19% during exercise. Moderate allowing greater tolerance to physical activity, reduction of cellular inflammation, the potent antioxidant pigments of beetroot, combat oxidative stress that compromises energy production in mitochondria. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology evaluated 12 adults with more than 65 years hard, NTE 6 weeks. Those who consumed 250 milliliters of beet juice daily increased by 24% in resistance during exercise and significant improvement in energy for everyday activities. Even more impressive, exams showed an increase in muscle mitochondrial efficiency. Dr. Mariana Silva, cardiologist specializing in sports medicine for the elderly, explains, what makes Beetruba so special is its ability to improve the energy production by two mechanisms, increasing oxygen contribution via vasodilation and optimizing the functioning of mitochondria. It's like improving simultaneously the fuel and car engine. Mr. Antonio, 81, shares his transformation. I could barely cross the block without being panting and tired. My cardiologist suggested beet juice daily. In the first weeks, I noticed little difference, but after a month, I started to realize that I could walk much more without tiring. After 3 months, I went back to gardening, something I had abandoned for lack of energy. It looks like a miracle, but it's just science. How to incorporate beet to the diet. Fresh beet juice, the most scientifically studied way. About 150 to 250 milliliters. Diaries are sufficient for significant effects. Grated raw beet, added to salads, keeps all nutrients intact. Roasted beet or steam cooked, methods that preserve most of the beneficial compounds. Beet fermented, in addition to the original benefits, they add probiotics that improve nutrient absorption. Nutritionist Dr. Paula Mendez recommends, to maximize the benefits, energetic, consume beet preferably before the moments of the highest physical requirement of the day. For sedentary routine elderly, morning consumption usually provides sustained energy throughout the day. Add a little lemon to beet juice not only improves taste, but helps preserve nitrates. Important tip, the effects of beets are cumulative. The most significant appear after 2 to 3 weeks of regular consumption. The coloring, reddish from urine and feces, is a harmless effect known as beeturia. Food number 2, eggs, the complete package of energy nutrients. Eggs, for a long time unfairly demonized, emerge today as one of the more complete and revitalizing foods for people over 60 who suffer from lack of energy. Rich in B-complex vitamins, Hill, iron, bioavailable, essential amino acids and coenzyme Q10, the eggs provide precisely the nutrients that the energy metabolism of the elderly needs the most. How eggs help increase energy. Exceptional source of B vitamins, especially B12, B2 and B5, essential for cell energy production. After 60 years, the ability to absorption of these vitamins decreases dramatically, making sources highly bioavailable, such as eggs, particularly valuable. Hill rich, this often forgotten nutrient is fundamental to the function, mitochondrial and energy production, besides being a precursor to the neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, important for muscle and mental vitality. High absorption heme iron, iron deficiency, even at light levels that they characterize anemia, can cause debilitating fatigue. Egg iron is absorbed 3 to 4 times more efficiently than vegetable iron. Complete essential amino acids provide the necessary building blocks for muscle maintenance and synthesis of energy enzymes. A survey conducted by the University of Washington accompanied 98 adults with over 70 years with complaints of chronic fatigue. The group that included 2 eggs daily at breakfast for 12 weeks showed significant increase in vitamin B12 and serum iron levels, a 43% reduction in fatigue symptoms and average improvement of 28% in physical resistance tests. Dr. Carlos Henrique, a geriatrist specializing in nutritional medicine, explains, the egg. It is one of the few foods that contain virtually all the necessary nutrients for cellular energy production. It's like providing the body's energy factory, all the inputs she needs in a single food. Particularly for elderly, who often have compromised absorption, bioavailability, exceptional egg nutrients makes all the difference. Donna Marta, 79, shares her experience. I avoided eggs for decades, because I heard that they did harm to the heart. Lived feeling without energy, mainly in the morning. When I moved to a new doctor, he analyzed my exams and suggested that I would eat eggs again. The difference I felt in my energy level was surprising. In just 2 weeks, I didn't need more of the afternoon nap and could do my activities without the exhaustion. Constant. How to incorporate eggs into the diet. Morning consumption, the ideal time to benefit from the sustained energy of the day. Proper cooking, boiled eggs, poached or scrambled on low heat preserve better the heat-sensitive nutrients. Strategic combinations, to enhance iron absorption, combine with foods rich in vitamin C such as tomatoes or peppers. Ideal frequency, for consistent energy benefits. Most studies indicates that 1 to 2 daily eggs are ideal for the elderly. Cardiologist Dr. Paulo Menezes demystifies, decades of research demonstrated clearly that moderate egg consumption does not increase cardiovascular risk for the vast majority of people. Dietary cholesterol has a minimum impact on blood cholesterol compared to refined trans and carbohydrate fatty acids. For elderly with fatigue, the benefits of eggs almost always exceed any theoretical concerns. Important note: people with uncontrolled 2 diabetes or hypercholesterolemia familiar should consult your doctor about the ideal amount of eggs in your diet. For most elderly people, however, 1 to 2 eggs per day are considered safe and beneficial. Food number 3, quinoa, the sustained energy supplier. Quinoa may seem just another grain of fashion, but for people with more 60 years struggling against the lack of chronic energy, it represents a powerful nutritional tool. This Andean pseudo-cereal offers a unique combination of complex carbohydrates, complete proteins, magnesium, iron and B-complex, creating a perfectly suitable nutritional profile to combat the aging fatigue, as quinoa helps increase energy. Exceptional source of magnesium, essential mineral for over 300 reactions. Enzyme related to energy production. After 60, both ingestion, as for the absorption of this critical mineral, they decrease significantly. Slow-release carbohydrates. Quinoa has low glycemic index, providing stable energy for hours, without peaks and blood sugar falls that contribute to fatigue. Complete protein of easy digestion, contains all essential amino acids in balanced proportion, fundamental for muscle maintenance and synthesis of energy-related enzymes. Rich in antioxidant compounds, protects mitochondria against oxidative damage, preserving its ability to generate energy efficiently. A study conducted by the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul accompanied 58 adults over 65 with complaints of chronic fatigue. Those who replaced white rice with quinoa in at least 5 weekly meals during 12 weeks reported an average increase of 37% in energy levels, improves 28% in physical resistance and significant reduction in the symptoms of morning exhaust. Dr. Ricardo Mendez, a specialist in nutrition and aging, explains, Quinoa differential is in its ability to provide energy in layers, first through faster absorption carbohydrates, followed by intermediate digestion and, finally, through proteins. This creates a supply, fuel constant for cells, without overloading the pancreas or causing inflammation, two common problems in the elderly. Mr. Jose, 74, shares his transformation. I was always tired, especially after meals. My nutritionist explained that the white rice that I consumed daily caused peak glucose followed by sudden falls, contributing to my fatigue. She suggested replacing it with quinoa. In the beginning, I was surprised by flavor, but soon I got used to it. In about 3 weeks, I started to notice that kept energized much longer after meals and no longer needed the afternoon nap. How to incorporate quinoa into the diet, partially or totally replace the rice. The simplest way to introduce it in the daily food. Energy salads, excellent base for salads with vegetables and proteins, creating a complete feature. Morning porridge, alternative to traditional oatmeal, providing energy sustained all morning. Soup addition, nutritionally enriches and increases satiety. Nutritionist Dr. Claudia Ferreira suggests, for the elderly who find the taste of quinoa very earthy, I recommend to wash it very well before the preparation to remove the saponins, compounds that give bitterness. Cook in vegetable broth instead of water also significantly improves the taste. Another option is to mix it, initially with rice, gradually increasing the proportion of quinoa. Tip to make life easier, quinoa can be cooked in greater quantity and frozen in individual portions, facilitating their regular consumption for older people who have difficulty cooking daily. Food number 4, coconut, the brain and muscle fuel. Coconut, both pulp and oil, may seem like a controversial choice in recommendations for reducing saturated fats, but for people with over 60 years struggling against the lack of chronic energy, it represents a source of unique and highly effective fuel. Rich in medium-chain triglycerides, TCMS, natural electrolytes and antioxidants, coconut offers fast energy and sustain that especially benefits the metabolism of the elderly. How the coconut helps to increase energy. Medium-chain triglycerides, TCMs, unlike other fats, TCMs, are transported directly to the liver, where they are quickly converted into energy, without the need for complex digestive enzymes, often reduced in the elderly. Ketonic bodies production, TCMs stimulate the production of these compounds that serve as an alternative fuel for the brain, especially valuable when the glucose metabolism, which often becomes less efficient with age, it is committed. Rich in natural electrolytes, potassium, magnesium and sodium in ideal equilibrium, essential for muscle function and cellular energy production. Antimicrobial action, the lauric and capric acids present in coconut help balance the intestinal microbiota, improving nutrient absorption and reducing fatigue associated with dysbiosis. A survey published in the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism studied 44 adults over 68 who reported chronic fatigue. The group that consumed 20 grams of coconut oil daily for 8 weeks showed 42% improvement in the scores, subjective energy, an increase of 24% in the resistance in walking and significant improvements in cognitive function related to attention and concentration. Dr. Amanda Costa, a neurologist specializing in brain nutrition, explains, elderly brain often faces resistance to localized insulin, making it difficult to use of glucose as energy. The ketonic bodies derived from the coconut TCMs, they offer an alternative energy pathway, which surrounds this problem. It's like, provide a reserve battery when the main one is failing. Donna Teresa, 82, shares her experience. I suffered from extreme tiredness, especially mental. My geriatrician suggested that I add a spoonful of oil of coconut to my breakfast. I noticed a difference in my mental energy soon. First days. After a few weeks using daily, I realized that I could keep me alert and focused on much longer periods. My grandson even joked that I was smarter than him in the crucial words. How to incorporate coconut into the diet. Coconut oil, 1 to 2 tablespoons daily, ideally divided between meals. It can be added to coffee, teas, smoothies or used in food preparation. Natural coconut water, excellent source of electrolyte, especially beneficial after physical activity or on hot days. Coconut pulp, as a snack or added to fruits, cereals and salads. Coconut milk, base for smoothies, soups and sauces, offering TCMs in form. Liquid. Nutritionist Dr. Marcos Oliveira warns, although coconut offers benefits significant to energy, especially in the elderly, it is important to consider it within the context of the total diet. Because it is caloric, the recommendation is to replace other dietary fats through the coconut, not simply add it, especially for those you need to control the weight. Important note, people with a history of cardiovascular disease should consult your doctor before incorporating significant amounts of coconut into the diet. To the majority of healthy elderly, however, moderate quantities, 20 to 30 grams daily, oil or 40 to 50 grams of pulp, are considered safe and beneficial. Food number 5, liver, natural multivitamin. Completing our list of transformative foods to combat the lack of energy after 60 years, we have the beef liver, a traditional food that has fallen into disuse, but possibly represents the most concentrated source of nutrients, energetic in nature. Heme iron rich, all B vitamins in abundance, coenzyme Q10, vitamin A, zinc and selenium. The liver offers a spectrum complete compounds directly involved in cellular energy production. How the liver helps increase energy. Unparalleled concentration of vitamin B12, a single portion of 100 grams of liver, contains more than 1000% of the daily need for B12, fundamental for production, energy and often disabled in the elderly due to the reduced capacity to absorption. Highly bioavailable heme iron, essential for the transport of oxygen and energy production. Liver iron is absorbed much more efficiently than the iron sources. Coenzyme Q10 natural, this compound is a critical component of the carrier chain of electrons in mitochondria, functioning as a catalyst for the production of ATP, cellular energy. Abundance folate, participates in numerous metabolic reactions related to energy, and its deficiency is strongly associated with fatigue. A study conducted by the USP Department of Geriatrics accompanied 87 adults with over 70 years diagnosed with chronic fatigue. The group that consumed 100 grams bovine liver twice a week for 16 weeks showed an increase in 82% in vitamin B12 levels, normalization of iron inventories in 91% of previous participants, and an average improvement of 47% in the scores of energy and vitality. Dr. Fernando Almeida, hematologist specializing in aging anemias, explains, what makes the liver a unique food to combat fatigue is synergy among its multiple nutrients. It is not just vitamin B12 or iron alone, but the perfectly balanced combination of coenzymes, minerals and vitamins that acts in each step of energy metabolism. Mr. Paulo, 85, shares his transformation. I was constantly exhausted, without strength or the most basic activities. My exams showed multiple deficiencies of vitamins and minerals, although I eat well. My doctor, He suggested that I would consume liver again, as we did in the past. My daughter, he started preparing liver pate and including in some weekly meals. The change was extraordinary. In 2 months, I had energy to walk again in the park, and I even danced the senior meetings. How to incorporate liver into the diet. Homemade pate, a palatable form that masks the strong flavor, ideal for those who do not enjoy the liver. Traditional acceptive liver, prepared quickly to preserve nutrients and avoid dryness. Addition to ground beef sauces, small amounts of ground liver added in sauce are practically imperceptible to the taste. Dehydrated liver capsules, for those who really cannot overcome the flavor aversion. There are disseminated liver supplements. Nutritionist Dr. Marissa Santos suggests, for the elderly who do not appreciate the taste characteristic of the liver, I recommend starting with small quantities, disguised in family preparations. The homemade pate with plenty of onion, caramelized and herbs is generally well accepted. Another strategy is to add 30 to 40 grams of ground liver at 500 grams of ground beef for sauces, where the taste is practically imperceptible. Important consideration, by the high concentration of vitamin A, people with specific conditions such as hypervitaminosis or severe liver problems should consult a doctor before consuming liver regularly. For most elderly, consumption of 100 to 150 grams once or twice a week is safe and highly beneficial. How to create a personalized energizing strategy. Now that we know the 5 transformative foods to combat the lack of energy after 60 years, we will understand how to combine them in a strategy, practical and personalized. Basic protocol for increased energy in the elderly. Morning breakfast including 1 to 2 eggs prepared for your choice, 1 teaspoon of sea oil, hollow to coffee or small portion of quinoa, can be prepared as sweet or salty porridge. Lunch, quinoa as a partial or total substitute for traditional rice. Include beef 1 to 2 times a week in small portions. Salad with grinded beef on afternoon snack. Coconut water or coconut milk on days of greatest physical wear, or 120 to 150 milliliters beef. At least one of the 5 energizing foods. Avoid refined carbohydrates that can compromise the energy of the next day. The geriatrician Dr. Paulo Mendonça recommends, for faster and more significant results, I suggest a 21-day energy induction period where all 5 foods are consumed in daily rotation. After this period, most elderly people already notice substantial improvement and can adapt the protocol for more flexible but still consistent maintenance. Adaptations for specific conditions. For diabetics, reduce portions of beets, but not eliminate, as its benefits in nitric oxide are independent of sugar. Use coconut in moderation, preferring oil pulp to emphasize eggs and liver as main energy sources. Emphasizing beetroot, which helps naturally reduce blood pressure. Consume liver, no more than 100 grams/week, IRS or organic, which tend to have a better lipid profile. For those who have high cholesterol, consult a doctor about the ideal frequency of egg consumption and coconut. Prioritizing beetroot, quinoa and lean liver versions always combine with soluble fibers to minimize cholesterol absorption. Power multipliers to enhance the benefits of energy foods. Some complementary practices are particularly effective. Dr. Carlos Montero, an endocrinologist, explains. Morning sunlight regulates circadian rhythm, optimizing hormonal production and energy metabolism. Only 15 to 20 minutes of direct sun exposure, without sunscreen, in the early hours of the morning can significantly increase energy levels throughout the day. Deep breath. Regularly practice diaphragmatic breathing for 5 to 10 minutes, 3 times a day, increases cellular oxygenation by up to 20%, providing immediate energy without the need for digestion or metabolic processing. Proper hydration. For dehydration, extremely common in the elderly, can reduce energy levels by up to 30%. Dr. Cristina Pinheiro, a nephrologist, recommends, for each decade after the age of 60, consciously increases water consumption in 200 milliliters above the sensation of thirst, as thirst receptors have become less sensitive. When seeking professional help, although energy foods can bring significant benefits, it is important to recognize when fatigue requires further medical investigation. Fatigue that suddenly arises or rapidly intensifies, extreme tiredness accompanied by unlawful weight loss that does not improve with adequate fatigue accompanied by significant tiredness, pain associated with intense pallor, lack of air or dizziness. Dr. Henrique Mello emphasizes, energy feeding works better when the cause of fatigue is mainly nutritional or metabolic. Pathological causes such as severe anemia, heart failure, hypothyroidism, or malignant conditions require specific medical treatment, although adequate nutrition is always an important supporting. Conclusion: reduces its natural vitality by completing our journey through 5 transforming foods to combat energy: beet, eggs, quinoa, coconut and liver. It is evident that revitalization in elderly need not come from expensive supplements or artificial stimulants, as synthesized Dr. Luciana Santos, a specialist in integrative medicine. Sustainable energy in old age comes from properly nourishing each stage of energy metabolism, from oxygen supply and cell nutrients to efficient mitochondria function and protection against oxidative stress. Foods we discuss are precisely to these fundamental needs. Imagine waking up in the morning feeling really rested and energized. Visualize participating activation of the activities you love, without that feeling of exhaustion that used to limit it. Think about having enough energy not just for basic needs, but to truly enjoy life in your fullness. This is not an empty promise, but a real possibility for many elderly people who suffer from a lack of chronic energy. And the best, it starts with simple choices and accessible in your next meal. How about starting today? Maybe with fresh eggs for breakfast, a juice of revitalizing beet in the middle of the morning, or a portion of nutritious quinoa in the lunch. Your vitality and your quality of life. Thank you.